To this now, the sale of the 50% share of the African Bank Limited that is held by the Reserve Bank is underway. This comes after the 2016 saga that saw the Reserve Bank acquire the share as part of the restructuring of the then ailing bank. The South African Reserve Bank recently appointed transaction advisors to handle the sale. With that, Reserve Bank Governor Lesitja Kganyago has told the Standing Committee on Finance the transaction could be an opportunity for consortia to buy the stake and deal with the transformation concerns within the banking sector. Sandile Zungu of Zungu Investments, who is chairperson there, weighs in on this, and he joins me now whether or not this could be a golden opportunity to broaden the ownership and transformation in the banking sector. Mr. Zungu, thank you for your time. So before we start, I've got to warn you, we are on standby for a briefing by the ANC, and if it gets underway, unfortunately, I might have to ask that we reschedule our conversation for a later time. So talk to me about what opportunities and prospects you see here for addressing the difficulties and the challenges with transformation in the banking sector. The Reserve Bank holds a 50% shareholding. They've come to the conclusion that perhaps it's time to let it go because of a conflict of interest that they identify given the many roles that the Reserve Bank plays in relation to African Bank. What doors does this open for business, especially black business?
Thank you, Trustee. What is very important, I'm not sure if many South Africans know that this bank, the African Bank, was established by black business. So it's a product of intellectual capital of black business. It was established in 1975 by the most eminent Dr. Sam Motswenyane. He worked tirelessly with people like Maponya to get this dream realized during the hardest and the harshest of times. It is reasonably expected that during the times of a democratic state, no longer apartheid state, that the dream of such luminaries must be seen to be coming alive. But it's also very important to appreciate that it went through very torrid times, and the role that commercial banks, the big banks, played in rescuing it, and the role that the Reserve Bank, who is now selling its stake, played in restoring some kind of parity, restoring credibility to this powerful brand. The role that they played was highly commendable, and it's very important that we pay tribute to the role that they played. But the fact of the matter is that there's a huge gap in the market for what is called a black bank. Everyone is talking about it's become a rhetorical issue, it's become a cliche, but nothing really happens. And the African Bank, the sale by the state, I call it the state, the Reserve Bank, of 50% represents that unique one-off opportunity for black people to really own a sizable stake in their own bank, which they founded in 1975. But what is even more important is that the broad-based nature of the ownership must be seen to be coming alive. You've got stokvel associations, you've got burial societies, and many other, call it co-ops, who may be persuaded to register interest in this, which talks firmly to what the base of the African Bank, as it has been repositioned as a clean bank, is really attending to.
So earlier in June, there was this communication from the Reserve Bank where they called for expressions of interest from various consortia and other investment groups and the likes. And therein, they highlighted some of the requirements that they said will need to be satisfied in as far as the regulatory environment is concerned. And they were talking about such things as being fit and proper and safety and soundness, minimum capital requirements, and broad-based black economic empowerment standards. I just want to get a sense if you've been able to take part in that expression of interest or any of the business groupings that you affiliated with have been showing interest in this way, and how has that gone?
Let's face it, the Reserve Bank is not ideally positioned to communicate to the rank and file community organizations, stockholder associations, who are really the intended target of this needs to broaden participation of ownership at African Bank. I would hazard to say the traditional communication methods that will have been relied upon to communicate that message, which you have eloquently outlined, will never have been effective in reaching out to those communities. Of course, I read popular media, business media. I'm aware of that. I speak to transaction advisors. I am aware of it. But am I the intended target? I will hazard to say the intended targets need informal methods of communication. Some of the most successful broad-based Black economic empowerment transactions are the ones where the principals, where the empowerers will have gone out using even non-traditional methods of communication to reach out to those that they want to lure to become shareholders. That has not happened, and therefore I will never be surprised if the outcome is we didn't reach out to them, we didn't get them, they didn't respond. The fact is probably they were not even aware of it. So to those who really are intent on having an effective change of ownership at African Bank that will benefit African Bank, that will benefit Black people, they need to think afresh about how to reach out to them. If it means revising the timetable, let it be, because we've got one attempt at this, and it must be a proper attempt. We need to have African Bank with a diverse ownership of entrepreneurs, small business owners, stockholder associations, tax associations, bearer societies, you name them, who are the ones for which African Bank was established in 1975 for, in any case.
Lastly, Sandile Zungu, with transformation and the advancement of groupings that had been previously disadvantaged, and for them to participate in the economy being a constitutional imperative in terms of the various prescripts in our constitution, how important has it become that this is advanced within the banking sector, especially off the backdrop of the collapse of VBS Bank?
Well, a VBS Bank, its collapse is a sad saga, but it's an issue of corruption. It's not an issue of failure of Black led, Black targeted institutions. African Bank is led by very powerful personalities. Some have just come on board. Others are established names in banking. Kennedy Pungane is highly respected. He is now in charge. They need to be given a chance to see to it that Motsonyane and Maponya's dream come to life. The transformation in the financial services sector is sacrosanct if inclusion in the national economy is going to be becoming a reality. By the time we get to other sectors, whether we talk about mining or food processing, transformation in the financial services sector will have been of primary concern. And African Bank presents that opportunity. I'm not saying that other banks are not achieving that. They are probably achieving that. But the possibility of ownership and control is in African Bank.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, Sandile Zungu. By the way, is Zungu Investments putting in an expression of interest there?
I'm not talking for Zungu Investments company in this specific case. I'm past president of the Black Business Council, and This is something we're very passionate about. Probably at the right time, we'll then express our interest, but certainly I'm wearing a different cap, and I have got to make sure that the Chinese walls and the lines are not blurred.
Thank you. You can't blame me for trying to get That story first here on eNCA. That's Sandile Zungu there talking to me about the potential that the stake that the South African Reserve Bank is letting go of at the at African Bank, the potential that it holds for transformation of the banking sector. While